When was the first airplane ride you took? And was it with your parents?
Yes, it was 1982, and it was the first. We'd gone on tiny trips, I think, before, like a camping trip for a couple of days, or we would always go to a Christian camp in the middle of the summer for a week, where we were split up, so it wasn't like a family trip necessarily. But the first big vacation we took was when I was 12 years old. We went to New York, and the East Coast is how it was built, was the East Coast. And they kind of asked us what we wanted to do because they wanted us to feel like we had some sort of agency in this trip, I think. So the first thing we said was East Coast, well, Disney World, which they agreed to at first, and then had a big conversation with us where they had to break it to us that was so far away from New York that there was no way it was gonna take up the entire time. Plus,
and you were close enough to Disneyland.
I was weird 3 miles away from Disneyland. We went all the time. I ended up working there.
There's a different one?
Yeah.
So we went to New York first, and they gave us the choice of one of the things was we were going to go to a Broadway show. So they gave us a choice between two. And they said, you can go to this musical that Doug Henning is starring in, where he plays the magician Merlin and he does magic tricks. Or you can go see this thing called Cats.
Okay.
Yep. And we said, Merlin, of course. What are you even talking about? and this Cats, I think it was like, had just come out, would have been a sensation, would have been something I could have talked about for years. But we saw instead Doug Henning doing magic tricks, along with a young Christian Slater was in that show.
Wow.
Yeah, one of his first jobs, I think. Although I don't remember him. So we went to that. We did the Statue of Liberty. We did the Empire State Building. We went up the Twin Towers. I'm told that I'm one of the last people who actually was up on the observation deck. This was 1982.
Wow. Yeah.
So sort of, and then walked around. I remember, I think I had $20 that they gave me to spend however I wanted to spend it. And this is 1982, so I had Izod shirts. Polo shirts were very, very in. It was the preppy look. And so I found a street vendor who had a white sweater with a fake Izod logo on it, I think. So I bought that for $5. It was like so much of my money. And my parents were like, "Are you sure you want this color?" Like looking at the white color. And of course, the day I wore it to school, I went into shop class and someone with a brush of wood stain, just
just slapped you with it?
Just slapped me with it, yeah. Then we tried to dye it to a brown color to match it, and it didn't work. So,
oh my God. Yeah. That is not only your dad's like a handyman and you're walking into shop class in a knockoff Izod and getting stained right away by the local bullies.
But I remember going to New York, the big we were staying at a Howard Johnson's hotel, and then we were driving from that to, I think, Virginia or somewhere around there, because we saw a lot of the Civil War sites as well. It might have been to Philadelphia too, because we saw the Declaration of Independence, all that kind of stuff. But we were traveling to a bed and breakfast that took about an hour to get to. And I remember sitting there stressing so much because the A-Team was my favorite show. It had just come out.
Loved it as well.
Somehow, I don't know how, I missed the pilot episode, which was a 2-hour movie. Yeah. I caught up to it episode 2. I never got to see the pilot episode. I heard there was someone different playing the Face Man. It wasn't Dirk Benedict. All of this was fascinating to me, and I needed to see this. And they were repeating it. And back then, this was a huge deal because you couldn't see repeats of shows unless they were aired.
Yeah.
There were
no VCRs.
No VCRs. So I was sitting there stressing, and my parents all knew that part of this trip was whenever we hit the bed and breakfast was I was going to find the nearest TV and watch this A-Team pilot. And my dad was getting lost, and couldn't find the right off-ramp. And I'm sitting there stressing out, and it's giving him stress because he thinks this is stupid. And why do I need to even watch this show? But he's trying to do it for me. And my sister has lost her blanket on this trip. She left it in the hotel, and she's crying. And we had this rental car that anytime the door would open, it would talk, and it would say, "The door is ajar."
Which is like basically Knight Rider.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I was fascinated with it. And we were always like trying to make jokes about how could the door be ajar? It's a door. Anyway, so we had been living with this car for a couple of days, and I'm stressing out. My brother is yelling. My sister is crying, and my dad says, "All right, I'm spanking you." And he pulls the car over, throws the door open, and it says, "The door is ajar." And we all laughed. And he said, "Ah, right." And we got back in, and then everything was cool.
Saved by the car.
I guess,
Great.
yeah. So we get to the bed and breakfast, and then they didn't really have a working TV. They had to hook it up for me and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, I got to see this 18 pilot pretty
great.
much like a half hour late, but I got to see most of it.
Okay.
That's great, though. I mean, this is what I'm about to say is very embarrassing because it's like recent history. Like I wasn't a child, but Josh and I and our current wives, who were maybe not our wives yet, we did the Tour Mont Blanc, which is like a hike through the Alps.
Oh, yeah.
And it was during the World Cup, and I was dead set on us watching this game. And we were on the most beautiful hike through a field of flowers. And I remember Alexi and Mackenzie wanted to like stop for pictures. And I'm like, come on. It's just, I feel like Alexi's still very mad about it.
I hate feeling like that. I'm trying to let that go. Like anytime we have plans to go see a movie, And now my wife will get stressed on my behalf because I used to get so stressed about being there on time. And now I'm just like, honey, it doesn't matter. Like, who cares if we're there 5 minutes late, you know? So I'm just trying to let all that go and not worry about all that.
Family trips with the Meyers Brothers.